Hey, Yorick might be a tough one to take down, but picking Yorick into Keen is hard. Because Keen, very good at Jax, has already played it.
Jax, yep.
Yeah, a lot of different options, so it might be a difficult first pick. We'll see where they actually decide to go. Callista's still available. Only the Lucian being banned as far as those 80 carries are concerned. That is the Lissandra, so Sun's most effective part of his champion pool has been removed from Summoner's Rift.
And LeBlanc now banned away. We'll have to see if we do get to see the Yasuo for KT, but Ezreal and Kalista, first and foremost, they are on the agenda. So KT going to pick that up for themselves, and now with Thresh and Galio and Alistar all being available, you don't have to pick your support during the first round. You might see an Ashe Tahm Kench.
I think Ashe Tahm Kench makes a lot of sense. That being said, it's not exactly the best just because Fate's Call can get that double, but the Galio is going to be picked away. So this is Freecs denying the optimal setup here for the Kalista. Although, we saw yesterday, pretty sure the Kalista Rakan is coming back in a big way. Tucson was so good, and Snowflower was also a Rakan player of note. See whether he actually looks at it. Looks like an unbreakable setup here just to try and deny some of the Winds of War damage as well as the Volley and Enchanted Crystal Arrow, and that's what they're going to go with here, is Snowflower going to have a lot of agency actually on this Braum, and we've seen Kalista Braum rise to some prominence. Still not necessarily a duo that I would put as top tier. You know, I'm still thinking that Thresh and Alistar feel like better options.
We'll have to see what KT is going to round this out with. Braum does have a knockup, as does Kalista, so if there would have been a time maybe for a Yasuo, even though it's blind, there's not really that big of an argument against doing it blind right now in the current meta. It would have probably been fine as well against the Enchanted Crystal Arrow. Doesn't look like that is going to be on the menu, though, as Jarvan is likely locked in there for score.
Could be for score, but also Smeb was one of the ones to re-debut the top lane Jarvan as well, so could certainly still be flexed as Dread goes back to an old favorite, the Kha'Zix, to be locked in here.
Yeah, Kha'Zix is not a champion I've seen for quite a long time. A lot of people do feel as though he was hurt with the jungle changes a couple of patches ago, not able to get the same kind of level gap on some of the opponents that he used to be able to have, and definitely has a reliance on getting his items, and so a lot of people looked at it as if there were just other junglers that could execute and perform the type of thing.
Oh, that's interesting. Tahm Kench ban is still going to come in, and there's Galio there. Assuming that maybe there'd be a Galio mid lane out from the Afreeca Freecs, that would be a very strange choice, though.
That would be really weird.
Seems like a whoopsie ban to me.
Vladimir now banned away as well. I think this is basically indicating that Afreeca wants Yorick maybe for Keen.
Still a lot of split push options. Smeb does have a lot of his old picks that he can go back to that work very well. Like you say, the Jax still available, and the Fiora is still up there as well. So it's not exactly a free pickup here of the Yorick, but he has proven that even in these counter matchups, he can have a good time. Fizz is going to be banned. This is some dark technology that Sun might have been working on recently. Remember, guys, Afreeca very difficult to research, as aiming is now looking at an Alistar.
They're both fish, right? And maybe there's some sort of a joke.
Aha. They're banning the river.
I don't get it.
I don't get it either.
This is really weird.
It's really weird. Alistar is going to be locked in, so that is going to be a solo lane Galio.
Okay.
So KT, somehow, just geniuses. As now BDD just looking for some of that priority in the mid lane. Oh, yeah.
Jungle Alistar, mid Kha'Zix. We're going places.
Oh my goodness. Ambition, come back. Your champion's back in the mid lane.
All right,
you got to roll swap back to mid. We got this.
This is the weirdest thing in the world. They could have concealed that Galio was a support down there in the bottom and not given KT the ability to counter it.
Oh no.
Knowingly. This is some of the worst draft blunders I've ever seen. If you just don't pick the Alistar there, everyone's going to think, okay, the Galio is just going to likely be a support. It doesn't get hard countered inside of the mid lane. And you just pick Yorick, you get it out of the way because there's no counter that exists for it. However, Afreeca, 200 IQ, convinced KT to pick Yorick, and now they get the Jax. And this is something I've echoed here on the LCK for a while. A lot of people are like, oh, Fiora is a counter to Yorick, or, Jace is fine against him. No. Jax is the biggest counter in the game to Yorick. We saw yesterday they tried to hit it with Aurelia. Get that out of here.
Yeah, I don't want that. The Aurelia feels like the worst choice. She's like
Really?
well down the list as far as the counter pick options that you can go with against the Yorick are concerned. Yes, she can dash around the ghoulies. Yes, you can do that. But then you die. And like that's still not winning. You know, that's still a bad thing.
Well, finally people are going to see what Jax can actually do to Yorick. There's no other champion, I think, except for Vladimir that can maybe straighten him up pre-level 6. Jax is one of them. Yorick, J4, Corki, Callista, and Braum. So they have the Yorick for the split push, they have the poke inside of the Corki, and they have the scaling inside of the Corki, so...
Yeah, actually, I don't mind the Corki. I mean, I was a bit sad because I really did want to see the Jarvan Yasuo combo, which is so incredibly good. Score going to be on the Jarvan this time around and had access to that knockup. But having a little bit of extra late-game insurance, also Corki getting a lot stronger on this patch as well. A lot of players around the world have been picking him up once again. And this is Afreeca going well and truly back in time as the Galio is mid laner. And the Kha'Zix is back in the jungle. Keen has the counter match up topside though, and if Afreeca are going to do anything, if they are going to win, it is going to be on the back of him. And aiming as well does have the Ashe that has been rising to prominence over the last few weeks. KT fans certainly very loud, wanting the LCK champions to bounce back after what has been a very difficult first round robin and first few games of the second round robin as well. BDD here in the mid lane. Hot Rod Corki. Who does that remind you of?
Hot Rod Corki?
Yeah, who does it remind you of?
I'm going to have to take another peek at it.
Oh, wait, you won't know. You're a 2014 boy. Reminds me of Chaos every time.
Oh.
Yeah, every time.
Oh, let's not talk about
OG TSM.
Yeah, let's
Chaos
slow down
special,
there.
man. Oh, some good times. Good times. That was back when the Rain Man was still playing. I know.
God.
That was before Dyrus. That's where my memory goes. Before Dyrus played for TSM.
I like that.
I know.
Oh, man.
Those were the days. Those were the days. All right, let's bring it back to 2019 though, as Snowflower and Zenit here just setting up shop down towards the bottom side, and a solo start on the red buff for Score.
Yeah, he's gonna solo start this with J4. We'll see if he advances into the blue side jungle of Dread to open this up. Sometimes that is what Jarvans elect to do. They'll do red-blue into Scuttle Crab, pass through mid, and then try to head to the other Scuttle Crab if the enemy jungler would go for a Raptor Red Krug clear into a Crab. And it does look like that might be what is indeed on the agenda. We got a trade going down here in bottom lane.
Yeah, nice double rend there from Zenit, but he's going to lose out on the trade. Snowflower keeps a bunch of his health bar, but the Callista is relatively low. Still not bad here at level 1 for KT Rolster. And this could be the famous Score 3 buff. Could be heading towards a Rift Scuttle after the steal of the blue. This was all planned from KT. That early ward going down from Snowplow means that it's pretty easy to grab that one, as Keen does have Counter-Strike, and that means that Smeb's going to get shoved underneath his turret. And Keen loses a bit of his health bar, but is otherwise okay and has priority towards the top side of the map. Score spotted on Vision now, so not going to get double scuttled.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons that maybe Score's considering not doing the double scuttle and instead electing to capture the Gromp is because the top laner didn't have priority at all. So even though the Corki had priority in mid, it's not strong enough or comparable enough to the Jax. And so could have ran into a bit of a problem on the left-hand side river. However, Dread is foregoing capturing the Scuttle Crab, electing straight for the blue. He's going to have to smite this. Oh, man. Wait, what?
Flag and drag on cooldown as Score doesn't know that Dread is there.
Oh, now it's a smite fight.
Yeah, now Dread is going to be able to put the ward down, but like you say, priority going over to BDD. The slow now onto Dread as he has to leap away. Flag and drag back up again. Scry's Bloom ain't going to help you, mate. He's got no way out apart from the flash. Isn't even going to use it, as he knew Score could just flash after him. First blood to old man Score.
And this is a really peculiar first blood. He's going to get his red buff reset. He's also going to get the blue refreshed as well.
Yeah.
Picking up the kill there onto Dread. He won the smite, and I want to point out that the Scuttle Crab was exactly 430 HP. So, quite fortunate for him. BDD being able to do BDD things here in mid lane.
But that's what they picked this Corki for, right? You can shove the Galio in, no worries at all in the early game, and this is pretty elementary.
Clean.
Yeah.
Very, very clean. EQ ends up landing, and like you said, Dread doesn't flash away as he knows that, well, Jarvan can just flash too. Kha'Zix. He says, I'm going to go base.
I thought he was saying, what was he doing?
No. He said, I'm going to go base.
That's what it seemed like to me, with the look on his face. But yeah, he's going to go base, and he's going to be able to grab himself a longsword. Skirmish Saber completed as well, and he's got a camp and a half lead. Dread's back in the Scourge side of the jungle, though, and he's going to be stealing some chickens away. This is definitely risky, but he's going to get away from it. Get away with it.
I feel like we are experiencing another case of imposter itemization syndrome here in the mid lane, as a refillable potion accompanied by 2 Dark Seals from Sun doesn't really make all that much sense. This has been something I've been very vocal with criticizing. I've seen it a lot in a lot of regions now since players have started doing this. I don't think that they understand why they're building the double Dark Seal. It's sort of like how Viper originally built Blade of the Ruined King on Kai'Sa, and then a lot of people followed suit, but they don't really bother to look at if it's valuable or not.
Yeah.
You don't go multiple Dark Seals unless you're trying to have permanent priority and permanent push for some reason. But there's no reason to have it here in this lane, and he doesn't even have a corrupting potion.
Well, there might not be a support on the bottom side either, as Scourge is going to try and get the damage trade there. That wasn't a missed EQ, he just didn't want to dive a turret. Just going to get the extra damage, force Jelly to go home, and get themselves a flush.
Dread now waiting on the right-hand side. I don't think BDD saw him, but Score certainly did.
Yep. BDD actually being a bit greedy here. Waiting before he goes back home, wanting to get himself a decent back timer. Does have his cleanse, of course. So no teleport in the mid lane as Snowflower comes up. Going to tap Dread on the shoulder and say, no, 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 no. This is not your Rift Scuttler.
About 2/3 of a level lead now for Score.
I believe that's every Scuttle going to Score as well so far. So he's got a huge lead as far as that money is concerned. That camp worth a bit more than the others, guys. Score is having a great time. This is actually going to help Smev so much as well towards the top side. We mentioned the fact that the Jax is a counter matchup. You can see at the moment things are very even, but that's not Keen's fault. It's the fact that he has no priority in his jungle, and his jungler shows himself in the mid lane, and then he can't play as aggressively. So, bit of an issue here. Smev going to teleport back towards the top side. Keen had already used his. Going to get some vision down in spots that Score is on the top. Dread looking to mirror, but Score not going to have this. I'm not allowed to put lights in my jungle.
He's going to recall right now.
He's going to be very close to picking up Warrior Enchant very early here in this game. Probably not going to have it just yet. Just going to be the Caulfield Warhammer to come in as BDD.
Nice CSing here by BDD.
Yeah, I like that. Gatling gun CS.
Very, very well.
That's the first mistake you make when you start playing Corki, is you ruin all of your minions under turret
with the Gatling gun.
Yeah.
You know who Corki reminds me of?
Who?
You know Setzer from Final Fantasy?
No, I don't.
That's all I think of every time I see a Corki.
Huh.
Well. Oh, Julia.
Welcome, Julia. We're going to do a lot of damage here to King. His Counter-Strike is on cooldown. That means he loses the majority of his health bar. There's the Dark Procession, but Keen wants this. That's going to be the stun. Flash comes out. Julia, turn around.
Not a lot of champions get to do that to York.
Nope. That being said, I felt like that was Smev getting a little bit overly keen. Oh.
That's what you did there. Jax is going to go back to pushing, and the lane state is about to get very ugly for the Yorick after Keen comes off of his next recall. Bottom lane, everything is going relatively okay, and surprisingly, BDD not doing the best of jobs here in the middle lane. Actually down in CS as the wave in mid looks to reset. He does have a package.
Yeah, a little bit of extra movement speed getting back towards the mid lane, and that's the ideal back timing that we were talking about. Julia didn't go down, so Smev's still going to have access to her as he tries to get control of this lane once again. You mentioned the fact that Keen will have an advantage, and he certainly does. He moves back in with his phage completed. No boots just yet, though.
This guy's the crab collector. Score, I think we know what Score's actually been doing the last couple of months. He's
been filling in at his parents' fish market or something like
that.
Yeah,
he's been crab collecting.
Yeah, it's all about the seafood here for Score. But it always has been, dude. He always has been the scuttle collector. That's just what he gets. Scoodle Rivers just
Scoodle
belongs
Rivers and
to
Scuttle
score.
Rivers.
Yeah.
What about Shelly Rivers?
He's pretty good at getting Shelly.
All
Certainly was in 2018. 2019 hasn't necessarily been as much of a good time here for KT Rolster, so unable to have as much priority around there. But now Score makes his way up. Top side, knows that Smeb has a level disadvantage. Was he seen there?
I think so. Yeah, the Jax movement definitely reflects that.
Not a lot of pings out, though, as Smeb is going to get a free push. And even if he was seen, this means that this is actually possible. Oh, look at the adorable ghoulies.
Though that's the opposite of adorable.
It is adorable. Look at him.
I feel like you probably are the type of guy that would call him Murloc. Adorable.
Some Murlocs are adorable.
All right.
Okay. Dread's in the mid lane. Bit of a tussle on the bottom side of the map, but it's a trade of ultimates from both of these 80 carries. Still with the Glacial Fissure available and the Unbreakable Will there as well. But double flash and only a Hex Flash here on the side of the Afreeca Freecs. So that will mean that KT retain the control of the bottom side of the map and a bit of a CS advantage as well. Ballista just feels like she's real strong here on 9.4. She's been getting through so many times as well. Sun tanking up a lot of damage here as the Justice Punch does come out. Dread. Ultimate has been proc. BDD might actually have to flash to get out of the way. This one holds onto it for a very long time. The Score was there. There's the flash EQ. BDD able to follow up with a fair bit of damage. You should go for Dread. He's so squishy. But they do manage to take down the Jarvan. Sun gonna get flashed after him. BDD gets the double. That's advantage KT.
Yeah, and this is a really big shutdown right now. They're going to be able to convert this into at least a turret plate here in mid. Snowflower here, able to help out BDD, shove in the wave. Doesn't actually elect to go for a turret plate, which I find really surprising. There's still 12 seconds on the Galio teleport, and you're not losing out on any sort of priority.
Yeah, actually, I'm really surprised because no one was coming back to that turret until Sun was back up again with the teleport, and then, of course, that's going to be very projected. But we're going to see this one more time. Justice Punch for Valkyrie. Dread says, this is my time to go. And BDD holds onto the flash for this entire time, baiting them in so that Score can try and get that knock-up.
Had the EQ actually landed, this would have been so much cleaner. It would have been very one-sided. 2-0. Nice. So one of the things that maybe BDD is considering is making sure that Score just doesn't have any contest over the right-hand side Scuttle Crab, and that's why he recalled with 12 seconds remaining on the Galio. Almost Trinity Force completed, though.
Yeah.
So definitely has to be very close to that, so maybe the turret plate actually would have just been more worthwhile. I guess another thing to consider is that the turret plate's gold is more valuable than the Scuttle Crab gold. I guess you're
not to Score.
Not to Score?
Not to Score.
All right.
No.
Not to him?
Scuttles are the best.
Okay.
Scuttles are better than anything. I mean, you can kill a champion or a Scuttle Crab, he'll be taking the Scuttle Crab. That's guaranteed. As Smeb wishes he could take cannon minions, but misses one towards the top side of the map. Now Score is going to be heading up there. Just going to be clearing out this top side. A lot of vision being pinged out here by KT as Keen did move down. Got himself that ward on the Gromp and knows that Score isn't going to be there. Smeb actually having a decent time up here now. His teleport just comes back off. Can get some vision now available for himself as the lanes are going to reset. And the Ghoulies were following Keen wherever he went.
Where do you think Julia's going?
I don't know.
She looks lost.
Just following. Just trying to support Yorick, you know?
Okay. I like that.
Yeah.
I can get behind that. As Mountain Drake. Score getting behind that one.
Score straight up owns the jungle right now. That's what they've been able to control here. Bottom side of the map, definitely. Zenit and Snowflower have been pushed up. Dread is in position now, but they're going to pull away from the Dragon. That's the knock-up party here as Dread is going to go down low, but does pick up the kill onto Score. Already Afreeca, a fantastic team fight. And that's all the damage missing. Snowflower doesn't have flash. He's just going to die. That's a 4-for-0. And Afreeca terminate KT.
This is a really peculiar way for the game to just flip completely on its head. Mountain Drake being picked up there by Afreeca. Clown Drake going to be the next one that is rolled in this game here. But what a major turn of events. You can see that BDD and Zenit trying to deal some damage to Dread, but they're all just clumped up and get hit by this massive wombo combo. Score tries to do the Cataclysm into the EQ, but it just doesn't matter at that point. Smeb's teleport is essentially useless. Keen also teleporting in as well, but massive victory there for Afreeca.
That's just gigantic. Not a lot that KT could do. They just went straight into a 3-man pulverize. And you saw Sun. I mean, he didn't even have to use the heroic entrance for much at all. I mean, he used it basically on the spot after the fight had already happened. So the next time Afreeca do this, it might even be worse for KT. As Shelly started to get attacked here, but Keen's just going to walk right on forward. Julia!
No!
She's going to go down. KT going to get aggressive, though, as that's the package used from B2D. He's going to be very far away from this fight now, as Snowflower and Zenit do have inside track, but Headbutt Pole lands onto 2. Aiming going to turn up here, very close to having that arrow. Back off, cooldown. Meanwhile, fight on the top side of the map as Shelly is going to go down. A fair bit of damage there from B2D, but not enough, as it is Afreeca that are able to pick it up. Zenit is going to go down here as Aiming flashes on forward. The Ignite finishes off the cow, but the last auto attack should be enough. No! Not going to happen as Sun. You're not going to get there with that Proto Belt. 1-for-1 in the mid lane, but Shelly is taken by the Afreeca Freecs top side.
And being summoned actually right away, so they're going for 2 mid turrets here as Keen. He is pushing, meanwhile, up in the top lane. He has a level advantage over Smeb, which is quite massive. Shelly coming in here. Dread. Oh, this is going to be a very easy dive. Yep. No Julia here to protect Smeb.
No, I'm not going to have her available for a very long time there as well as Last Rites comes in. There's the Dark Procession, though, as the flash is good from Smeb. Score does come in. Keen's going to get taken down, and now Dread, you have got nowhere to run. The ultimate is going to be there. The stab not going to be enough there from Score, but they're still on the hunt. There is the stand beside me, but Dread stabbed by the second one. The ultimate comes out. I mean, Snowflower just wants to have a bit of a Christmas party, but still, definitely a fantastic response to the dive from the Afreeca Freecs.
Very chaotic game here in the last couple of minutes. Now, Aiming and Jelly going to raise the bottom tier 1 turret here for their team. That's going to be the second turret going over to Afreeca. Definitely an unfortunate dive attempt up there in top lane. It looked like it was going to be so free, but Score's pathing able to be there just in time to save Smeb. Take another quick replay of what just happened here a moment ago in mid lane. Aiming, auto-attacking Snowflower, decided to stop briefly to auto-attack a minion. Also continuing to do that, Enchanted Crystal Arrow comes out, hits Zenit, and then Aiming flashes forward, and then Kites turned backwards for a second because he had turret aggro.
No, he just thought that the volley was going to kill him.
Yeah, he thought the volley would end up taking him down. Score. Immaculate timing.
Almost the double knock up there as well. Gets the flash out of Dread, but there's not a lot of places that he can run. Sidestep was there, but Score just waits for the Q mana to come back. 3, 2, 1, and 0.
Oh, that was
4초, 나 4초, 3초,
3 seconds,
2초.
2 seconds.
안
갈게. 오케이.
슬슬 바텀 와줘. 이거 탑라인 형이 밀어주세요.
He says, I'm going to fix top lane. Nice.
Oh, I didn't need that one translated.
All right.
Score, damn you. I wanted a kill. And he doesn't even have his Trinity Force yet. That's why I wanted that kill. Dang it, old man. Score. 2 other people have already got their Trinity Force, and Smeb is just lagging behind. Feels real bad. But certainly adorable. 6-6 is going to be the kill scoreline, but it's 2,000 gold in the lead for Afreeca Freecs as they've taken all 3 of these outer turrets and very close to taking down the entirety of the inner turret in mid lane. Map control is certainly with Afreeca. And this is the point of the game where after that dragon fight, you're going to be feeling really nervous as KT. Because they've already lost the straight up 5v5, and they're losing around the map as well. I mean, the control is certainly there for the Afreeca Freecs. KT need to get themselves in an advantageous position and find themselves some of these item spikes. And thankfully, they have a Corki, the king of item spikes. Item spike 1 has come in. Item spike 2 will happen after his next
What's
item.
item spike 2 Atlas?
That is either the rapid fire cannon or the Infinity Edge. You can now go second item Infinity Edge if you want to on the Corki, and that looks like where B2D has decided to go.
Corki takes a really long time to get worked up.
Oh, wait. Hang on, Stormrazor buff hasn't happened yet. That's going to be on 9.5, am I right?
Right.
Yeah, okay. So
That might not stop BDD here, though.
Maybe. I mean, he does have the fleet footwork, which is why
No.
Storm Razor does work still. You can get that empowered auto attack, but you probably want to get something like a Static Shiv or a Rapid Fire Cannon before that. Just some musings here.
Alice, we have an open Drake coming up next.
Oh, how exciting. No Infernals this game. No. We haven't started the fire. Nothing was burning.
Oh, that song is now stuck in my head. Thank you.
I know, right? You're welcome. I love that song.
Oh my.
I was wondering whether you were going to get it, you know, because it's always LS is too young for this and that. But thankfully, no, this one's going to sneak through. Old man Alice. He's got something.
I'm getting on in my ears.
Yeah. Man. Tell me about it. All right. Well, Keen gonna change position. He's heading down towards the bottom side of the map now, and we've got the 2-item spike coming in for the Ashe much sooner than that of the Callista. His aiming is so far ahead in this farm. 2-0-2 now as well. Almost under the radar, but winning those couple of team fights and then that skirmish in the mid lane. Certainly doing great things here for the Afreeca Freecs, and this might be an Afreeca squad that does have 2 carries this game. And that is very exciting. They're normally a squad with only 1 player.
Yeah, that is true. The Jax, I think, is going to be quite problematic for KT the longer that this game ends up going on. They do have the scaling inside of the Corki, and obviously Yorick is also a champion that a lot of people would consider as a pretty strong scaling champion. However, when faced with the Jax, things are just going to get worse, especially once the Spear of Sojin will come online for Keen later on. It's going to be Dive City.
Yeah,
underneath
exactly.
turrets, and Julia's just going to have to sit there and watch.
It's going to be very scary times for anyone facing down Keen in any sort of side lane. It's just not a lot of, I mean, as soon as Smeb can't go up there against him, it's why he's built the Warden's Mail, as you can see. Wants to try and keep himself alive in this matchup, but remember, Jax does mixed damage. I mean, it's just, he's a nightmare to build against, and he's a nightmare to play against as the game goes on. You can see Smeb hasn't dealt with it very well. 28 CS will be the margin here. Keen has gone back to base, and Smeb should be able to get a little bit more farm. Spear of Sojin very close to being completed, about 1,300 before that one is done. Kindle Gem, BF Sword already in the back pocket of the Jax. But Corki's scaling, trying to get himself towards that part where he's going to be relevant. He's going to have so much consistent damage. KT, if they can get some control around this map, we'll have a fast Baron as well as this game goes on. Afreeca much faster with that Mountain Drake and Jax Kha'Zix's Ashe.
Well, a lot of posturing here on the left-hand side of the map. Mostly just everyone controlling the vision, as probably just going to wait for an opportunity to use an Enchanted Crystal Arrow, but Afreeca aren't the ones that actually have to rush anything, because the ticking time bomb in this game is the Jax inside of that split push, as KT, they don't have a teleport available on Corki. It's just going to be Yorick who's going to be on duty with trying to resist him. Split push hasn't fully come online yet, but it is something that KT is going to have to answer to in a couple of moments here, probably after the Ocean Drake gets picked up. It pains me to say it, but likely going to have that captured.
Yeah, I have a feeling that could be true, as they need to kill Amy in this 4v4 if they're going to stand any chance. BDD standing off to the side. Snowflower needs to be the one to initiate because Fate's Call is there to keep him safe. Afreeca Freecs, though, they just back away, and as soon as Jelly's in position to disrupt the backline, I just don't know how KT are actually able to win a fight unless they instantly delete aiming. But it's so hard because you've got an Alistar and a Galio standing in the back pocket, and Galio can do it whilst pushing a side lane and still be just as effective.
This is definitely a scary situation for KT to try to come up with an answer with, and it's not the position that they would have liked to have found themselves in, especially after the early advantages that BDD ended up securing for himself there in mid lane.
We just haven't seen very many successful Corkis here in the LCK so far. I mean, elsewhere globally, Corki has been rising to some prominence, but here, I mean, it feels like he gets picked and then just loses in the mid game because he's trying to wait for a few items, things like that. And speaking of waiting for a few items, Keen doesn't have to anymore. Spear of Sojin is complete as item number 2. 40% CDR and that gigantic passive giving him so much attack speed. And the cooldown's back. The Counter-Strike is basically going to be permanent.
Well, this is where the fun starts now for the Jax against the Yorick. He can actually crash that wave. Yes, Smeb's going to have to go the long way around. Keen did not look too keen on trying to hit the turret just now. Maybe he's going to go over and do the dragon here with Dread.
Yep. I like that Keen is taking the cheating skin as well. Because Jax, that is a real weapon. That's actually a halberd. Like, come on, man. You're supposed to have a fishing rod, a lamp post. You know, there's a lot of funny things that you can have. You're supposed to have.
Maybe
Jax.
just, you know what I want to see? I want to see a clown bopper.
Oh, yeah.
Clown bopper Jax with like, and as he's fighting you, clown music plays.
Yep, it'll be the next best thing to the TPA Jax that had the best gong sound whenever you bash turrets. So
like
good.
that.
Almost as good as the Mundo cleavers with the same skin. Just amazing. This one, boring. Not okay. Just looks like he's like a soldier. Ugh. And the Fisherman Jax is so good. I'm a PAX Jax purist because I managed to get that skin all those years ago.
I like that. I can get behind that.
I was very, very proud of it back in 2013 or something like that.
Well, continuing to posture is Afreeca. It's going to be another open Drake coming up next, so definitely the least fun rolls here on the Dragons.
Yeah, but the most fun that KT will have as far as items are concerned. They've got Infinity Edge complete, and they've finally got Zenith with his item as well. Counter-Strike is going to be used here from Keen. So that's now on cooldown for a moment, but of course, remember, cooldown is a word that you don't really get to talk about anymore when it comes to the 40% CDR Spear of Sojin Jax, as the arrow is going to land onto Score. Can they finish him off? And yes, they definitely can. KT lose their jungler, and they're probably going to lose Baron here as well. It's a pretty elementary play, but it's a beautiful one from the Afreeca Freecs. They've started it off. BDD is in position to try and get the poke in there, but are there very many options? I think the answer is no, as Sun getting in there with the taunt. That's 3-man, as Zenith's able to jump around this fight. They finish off the Baron. Jelly's going to get a 3-man pulverizer.
Oh,
that
God.
hero's entrance is so good. The Goomba Stomp not going to work, though, as the Galio just burns down. BDD has to flash. Smeb has to flash. Dread's going to take a lot of damage, but the damage has been done by the Afreeca Freecs. They'll go back to base, and they'll move down some lanes with some purple buffs.
Yeah, this is probably going to be a little bit too much for KT to handle. A lot of the tier 2 turrets and maybe even an inhibitor turret will likely fall on this follow-up Baron push here, as everyone's going to recall, going to get a lot of items. Take another quick look at this, and Hawkshot comes out, Score spots himself, they waste no time deleting him from the map, and then Sun, it almost looked like he just went off a little bit too early. You can see right here that the Baron is almost complete. He starts charging the taunt, he flashes in, the Baron was still at about 1,500. And so Keen and Dread were not able to enter the fight right away. Galio dies mid-flight.
Yeah.
Really unfortunate timing right there. BDD forced to flash away at the end, as well as Smeb, but as you were saying, Atlas, damage is already done. This is going to be...
다 했다 얘들아. 탑 미드 밀어.
탑 내가 밀게.
Said
Okay.
top and mid push. Yeah, okay, I'll push top and mid.
It's really, there's not really all that much banter in a lot of these
Yeah, very
play
quiet.
games.
Yeah.
But it's all business here, and the Afreeca Freecs need to come back. Remember, they lost to Jin Green Wings. They don't want to keep losing now as Keen, bottom side of the map, but rest of the team hanging around mid. Arrow once again going to fly forward. Score not going to get hit by it this time, though, and Fate's Call almost back off cooldown. Snowflower will be able to continue clearing out vision, but Keen's clearing out turrets, and that's exactly what he needs to be doing. In a turret, the last one remaining is on the top side of the map. That's not where Afreeca Freecs are. They want to break open this base, and they want to do it on this push.
Well, Afreeca, they have Keen in the bottom lane here. Almost able to likely just probably ignore Yorick at this point. Just ends up attacking the wall and gets himself out of there. But taking it very slow and steady. Yeah, he is. Forky just takes a very long time to come online. He needs a lot of money.
Well,
he's very hard to please.
He's got two of the most expensive items in the game.
Yeah.
So, has already completed those, but I think you're right. I think he might need a little bit more crit to really bring that Infinity Edge up online.
He's just so expensive.
Well, Jelly.
Champion.
Righteous Glory's been popped. They just want to use this to get around, take down this turret. Sun goes in. Fate's Call comes back out. Smeb right in the front line. Keen has that Counter-Strike almost permanently. Dark Procession comes in. His Score is going to go golden, but Dread just jumps into the back line and takes down the Callista. Score is going to follow suit. Julia follows after him. And the inhibitor is going to go down. Afreeca Freecs looking great here in game number 1 against KT.
Keen's going to teleport onto the minion. This is going to be all but over Snowflower gets locked up, able to cast his ultimate. Smeb trying to come in here.
Jelly's
no Julia,
playing
though.
so well. That Pulverize was just beautiful. Smeb trying to work out what to do underneath his Nexus turrets as Keen goes golden, but he's just having the best time ever. Arrow's going to land. It's going to be on the Yorick. Justice Punch to follow. And everyone on KT is dead, as is the Nexus. Welcome back, Afreeca Freecs.
This was a really clean game. As soon as the Dragon turnaround all happened, everything just went from 0 to 100 for Afreeca. And we got to see this game. Yorick isn't allowed. He has to hug his turret.
Yeah.
It's not so often that you get to see Yorick hug a turret. Those were Amy's parents that we just got to see on the screen right there.
This was the game to come and see. I mean, finding a victory for the Afreeca Freecs to watch is a difficult one to do if you're looking through the VODs, but finally, Aiming's parents are going to come to the right one. And look, KT now have a lot to work on, because I think the draft was really interesting on the side of the Afreeca Freecs, but what we have learned is not necessarily a new lesson. Because if Keen gets a counter matchup on a split-pushing champion, he will win you the game. And what happened? He won the game. That being said, aiming was actually very, very strong. That first skirmish was fantastic for the Afreeca Freecs, and from that point, it was basically all over, because as soon as somebody else puts on the carry pants, Keen doesn't have to do it all by himself, and the Afreeca Freecs look like a dominant team.
And I mean, if KT is actually going to play that way, may as well just pick the Malzahar in mid lane instead of the Corki. Because after getting 2 kills in mid, I mean, BDD's lane management leading up to the 2 kills a little bit questionable. Follow-up after getting them, also bizarre. He was going even in CS with the Galio, and just not really doing all that much. It's a very bizarre counter pick, knowing that you're going into a very compromised mid Galio, because there's a reason that we don't see him in mid anymore and only as support. Those nerfs were brutal. BDD incapable of abusing it, even off the back of 2 kills. So
the problem is you can see exactly where that dragon fight happened on that gold grab. Because that's when things went from blue to red. And that's exactly what happened, right? It went from KT in all the control in the early game, Score pathing around beautifully and being able to create chaos, to everything being thrown out the window. See whether KT can go and collect everything that is now outside and come back for game number 2, or whether the Afreeca Freecs are going to be able to do it and take away the